Now that we know some of these things, having watched Rogue One, what do you think of Rogue One?
So, I think Rogue One was 10 times better than Episode 7. Although I fell asleep.
You fell asleep during the action scenes.
4 times I fell asleep, and they were deep sleeps too. They weren't just like, oh. I actually had like dreams during the movie.
Star Wars Rogue One is the long-awaited sequel, prequel, standalone something to the original Star Trek that came out back in 1934. After the success of the prequels, fans were clamoring for another one. So the folks over at Disney got right to work on making a new one. The main story in Rogue One is extremely enthralling. The first thing you should know is the rebels steal the Death Star plans and they all die. No, wait, that was the last thing you were supposed to. The plot of the new Avengers movie goes like this. You're Katniss Everdeen and you're on a farm. But then the bad guys are on the farm too and they try to kill everyone. But they were actually nice bad guys because they landed their ship 200 yards away. Then they just walked towards the house at a leisurely pace so everyone could get away easily. I guess they were pretty chill guys. You hide in a trash can and wait for a homeless guy to find you, and then you get to go to all these new locations like a desert planet with a ramshackle smuggler town, a rainy planet, and a tropical beach jungle. I've never seen locations like these in another Star Wars movie before. They're all new. There's all these rebel people all over the galaxy, and sometimes they'll talk to you to give you missions or to help you murder some bad guys. The missions you have to do are all very interesting. Sometimes you have to go to a place on the other side of the island and get a thing, and then you bring it back to them. It's a pretty fun thing to do, and it makes you feel like you're a good helper.
A big help.
Believe me guys, I know firsthand that sometimes it's just too easy to get engulfed in the actual story. You're so engulfed that you don't care about the CGIs and explosions. In previous Star Wars films, the story involved the interactions between characters and plot points that could potentially affect the outcome of the movie. They were so complicated, it was just too easy to get confused and then you don't know what's happening, and then you just give up and throw the DVD in the garbage. It's quite fortunate that Disney went ahead and fixed this problem for Rogue One. Instead of having a list of stupid contingencies that you have to think about, the story just progresses in the only way possible to the conclusion we all knew was going to happen from the very beginning. Now you can just sit back and pretend you're watching your favorite epic space opera that's really just a third-person shooter, Star Wars Battlefront. Who cares if the robot dies? The movie's just gonna end the same way anyways. Thanks, Disney. What would I do without you?
Oh yeah! Oh yeah, I fucking love Star Wars!
I'm going 8 out of 10. K2SO is also my favorite. I think that he was the most well-developed character in all of it. I'm going 8 out of 10. It starts to slow down a lot for me because I felt like they were just kind of going over the same stuff. I'm going 8 out of 10. I felt that there wasn't a lot of character development for most of the characters. 8 out of 10. Didn't feel like Star Wars. 8 out of 10. I didn't like Michael Giacchino's score at all. 8 out of 10. It felt sometimes really over the top. It was jarring for me. And I was like, what? This isn't Star Wars. 8 out of 10.
Why was it so important to have Tarkin and Leia in Rogue One?
Then they put me on a screen really, really big. And they put me in high def.
Being a brand new modern film released in the last month of 2016, Rogue One has some of the best CGI seen all year. No expense has been spared as some of Disney's greatest mocaps have made beautiful graphics for you to feast your eyes upon. In past Star Trek prequels, CGI characters always seemed a little off, but this time around, Lucasfilm have accomplished everything they wanted in the prequels, but couldn't because they just didn't have enough 1080p's on their hands. Gone are the stiff, rigid, uncomfortable animations. Now we have animations that move fluently, and facial expressions that let you know exactly what's going on without even having to pay attention to the dialogue. Since Rogue One is a movie that relies more on its characters to carry the movie, naturally, the characters are all really good. My favorite character in the whole movie is Grant Ma Krennic. He's this really original concept, unlike any other character from the Star Wars franchise. See, he's a military guy, He's really original. He's an uncaring military guy who doesn't even care about anyone else. He's really original. I've never even seen how they even think of that. After that, there's another cool new character called K2SO, who I've never seen a guy like this before in anything. He's a comic relief character who makes funny jokes. Some people might say that his style of humor and role in the film is similar to that of another character from another popular sci-fi action drama, but they don't know anything. They explain in the film that K2SO's personality is a result of reprogramming. It's a good thing that it was an idea that the Empire and the Rebels came up with, and not an idea that the writers of the movie came up with. Otherwise, that would be really lazy and borderline plagiarism.
ATSTs! ATSTs!
Do not be fooled. Rogue One is not just another cinematic universe franchise film. This one is very distinguishable from the rest of the crowd. For example, anyway, it may be familiar territory, but it's comfortably familiar, and should not be confused with monotonous, boring, and uninspired. People have said that with this unending trend of CU movies, these movies are getting really tired and worn out. And I think that's a real silly thing to say, because if there were too many of these movies, why would they keep making them? Yeah, look, I only watched 2 movies, The Avengers, Transformers, and whatever movie BuzzFeed last gave a 10 out of 10. Look, if a new movie isn't like any of those, then I'm not going to watch it, but if it is, then hey, congrats, I'm going to download it on BitTorrent, and after I watch it, I'm going to forget about it in 2 weeks. Hey, there's no better seal of approval than that.
And I'd like to take this time to thank our other sponsor, Nerdbox.